Kevin Cross.
Kevin Cross.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. I listened to his call with Gary Keller that lasted about 20, 30 minutes. And I listened to that thing again and again and again. I would listen to it like almost every day.
Sure.
And I started to become obsessed with the idea of actually starting a real estate meetup.
Okay.
And it was a huge idea for me to think, like, who am I to try to get people in a room and facilitate a networking event? But I knew the few events that I've been to here and there, I gained a lot of great contacts.
Yeah.
And I've met people that are kind of like me. But if I can do something like that regularly.
You're checking out the Investor Shed podcast with Nick Beveridge and Jeremy Kitchen. They're on the path to financial freedom and they're taking their community with them. Stay tuned for the best free real estate investing advice on the internet.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Shout out to Black Stag Contracting for this free hat I got last night.
I didn't get a free hat. That's some bullshit. I also didn't go to the networking event. Speaking of networking events, Nick, what are we going to be talking about today?
You know what? We're going to be talking about building a network,
or
joining a network, or expanding your network, because your network is your net worth. You were going to say, come on. I pointed at you.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say something funny, but I was like,
David Ramsey.
Yeah, I was going to say some Gordon Ramsay, I think. So a little housekeeping, everyone. Welcome to the Investor Shed podcast. My name is Jeremy Kitchen, one of the hosts of the Investor Shed, here with the illustrious and beautiful, magnificent new hat boy, Nick Beveridge.
Oh, boy. I hope you are watching on YouTube, because this hat is fly.
It's pretty fly.
Yeah. You don't have to watch on YouTube. The audio actually sounds better because you don't have to look at our stupid faces. We have zits.
I do. It's right there. Look at that guy.
I've got one under my neck here. It's bulging out. My wife is going to get it later, and I'm going to scream.
Yep. Your wife gets your zits too, huh?
Yeah, and I scream because she's like, "Oh no, don't be a sissy," and she's like, "Arr!" And I'm like, sound like I'm being tortured.
What usually happens is my wife at the end is like, "You're bleeding," and I'm like, "Thank you."
Okay. Usually when it bleeds, that's when you feel better.
Yeah, but she's just not gentle.
It's kind of like business.
Yeah, it is like business. Our wives run the show, and they get rid of all the zits in our life. So,
and then once you're bleeding financially, finally you can have some relief.
I love it. What a metaphor. We are full of metaphors today. I am so excited for this networking episode, Nick. What about yourself?
I'm pretty so. You know what? The topic may sound pretty bland, boring, like, okay, get it, networking. Are you guys really going to talk a whole episode on networking? That sounds
bet
gay.
your ass we are.
Yes, but I really think it's important, and I don't know why it's taken this long to really kind of focus on networking, the secret sauce that built my entire business.
Right. And just like a little thing before we really dive into it, like if you plan on doing real estate investing or any sort of business by yourself, you are severely wrong on how things work.
Yeah, you are wrong, boy.
You're so wrong.
You're so wrong.
That's where networking comes in, though, right? So you just get to leverage other people and what other people can do for you. But there's more to unpack than just like having someone do something for you. It's about what you can provide for them as well.
Yeah, we specifically talk about real estate investing a lot, and maybe your agent business, but networking, I mean, that's where it's at with if you're in the service industry in general. I mean, if you're a lender, if you're an insurance guy, if you're in the business of selling relationships.
Yeah.
Networking is the most powerful tool that you have available to you, other than maybe the telephone, if you're just a speed dialer and that's what you do. But getting face-to-face with somebody really helps build some solid know, like, and trust. And I go back to that a lot. Know, like, and trust. If you're struggling in business out there, it's because you don't have enough people that know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game. And you might be a weird, awkward person like me. And networking it was very hard for me at the start of this. I was resistant to it But I just had to force myself to do it. It became a skill.
Sure.
I believe that almost everything out there is a skill in life that you can learn. You don't have to be naturally gifted or talented at anything.
Yeah.
That's one of my beliefs. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, Nick. I think skills are acquired, and you have to keep working at them, obviously. If you don't keep working at your skills, you will fall far behind. But like you said, these are skills that you've learned. I've known you since you were in first grade. I can't say you were ever like the most charming kid in the class.
No, I'm still not.
No,
like,
right.
Yeah, you knew me pretty young, and not very charming, not very, not just charming, but approachable.
Sure. Yeah, no, you this is nothing against you. Like, you do have like an awkward aura about you sometimes.
Right.
And I do too, though, in
still do.
networking events. Like, it's just something that you accept and you move on.
So I had to learn early on. I had to compensate for that somehow, and I had to actually provide value to people.
Yeah.
But, it's a numbers game. The more people you meet, the more you'll meet that are kind of like you.
Yeah.
And they'll appreciate that you're just yourself, and maybe you can just meet a bunch of other awkward weirdos, and you all have something in common.
Right. And then you started a real estate investor network, which I'm pretty positive 80% of the room is awkward weirdos.
Yes, and they will admit it. You guys know that. I mean, if you're showing up to a real estate event on a Thursday night once a month, you're an awkward weirdo.
Yep.
Fuck, and we love you.
Yeah, you're
just
part of our
like
tribe,
me.
right?
And they'll admit it. A lot of these people, they get off to data, and they really want to better their lives financially.
Yep.
And they know if they come to these events regularly. I mean, the secret is just in building the relationships, even if you don't want to do it. But eventually, you get hooked, and it works, and you know that you can meet people that are like you, and it's a great way to meet friends too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of allude to what we were talking about too, this networking, you just can't do it yourself. I hate to tell you, like, you're lying if you think you can do it yourself, because you just can't. And
You've called these people liars twice now.
I have, and I will continue calling them liars. Like, if you're trying to set up a business and you're trying to do, if you're trying to do real estate investing, say you're trying to do a flip, and you want to do every single thing yourself, you will fall so far behind in this business.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I was a real estate agent from 2011 to 2015, at late 14 or so. During that time, I struggled.
Sure.
And a lot of it was because I knew the secret sauce was to get people to know, like, and trust you. But my only strategy was to call people.
Yeah.
And to pretend like I was interested in their lives. And to, play the role of I'm the professional. Here are my khakis. Here's my button-up stupid shirt. It's always wrinkled.
It was.
And, shaving I never have stubble because you got to look professional. I came from the car industry, and I'm just like, taking notes as I'm growing up in life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess, I'm a professional agent. I really want this so that I can be an investor. But I knew if I had a day job as a real estate agent, it might give me an edge.
Sure.
As an investor. But it took many years for me to realize that, just pounding the phones with my personality just wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. And eventually in 2013, I started to go to a lot more real estate seminars. And that's where I started actually making like powerful connections that became leads and contacts and friends in my database that I can follow up with on a regular basis.
Okay.
And do business with and get referrals from. And the more and more of these real estate seminars I went to every 6 months, every 3 months, something like that. And there were some events in Spokane that I went to that like hard money lenders put on.
Sure.
I just started noticing, hey, these contacts are so much stronger than these Zillow leads that I got, that we paid for. And I'm trying to call these people that don't want to hear from you, and they just were interested about a house price or something like that.
Right.
And then you're trying to build relationships with these people that want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And once in a while you get lucky and you start building relationships with these people that didn't want anything to do with you, but then by default you're the person because you're the only one that returns their calls.
Right.
That's how I built my business, and it was a struggle for a few years until I started networking. And networking with the people that were like-minded.
Sure. Being in the right spot at the right time, like intentional networking, not just willy-nilly networking.
Yeah. And then at one point I decided I was listening to a lot of they weren't called podcasts back then, but they were like recorded phone calls that our Keller Williams Realty platform had, this educational platform where you can listen to recorded calls that Gary Keller makes with the top agents in the country. And there's this one call in particular that I really liked, and he was the very first guest on the very first episode of the Investor Shed podcast. What's up, North Idaho people?
Hello.
Hey, we've got an amazing real estate seminar coming to Coeur d'Alene here later this year. We want to tell you about it so that you'll hurry up and buy tickets.
Yes, get your tickets. The amazing Kathy Fecky is flying in. AJ Osborne, the king of self-storage, is flying in.
Steve Rosenberg, y'all know him, he's muscly. Brad Chandler, changed your life. Tom Millwright, man of the hour. Get a free book too when you sign up. Quickly do it before the end of the month and you'll get a free book. Like, this guy's had success with his real estate business, and he doesn't make all the calls every day like I had to. You know, he wasn't making 20 calls to strangers that didn't want to hear from him. He was just networking with investors and had this system to get people to come to his events.
Okay.
And he would just provide value, and then he would get a massive amount of business out of it and grew a big team and grew a big agent investor business out of just providing value to the right crowd, to the right audience, and attracting the right kind of people that wanted to be there. And I just decided, man, I'm gonna take some shots, deal with my anxiety, and what I meant by alcohol, like shots. I'm gonna request my broker that I can use the training room, and I'm just gonna put it out there that, hey, I'm starting an event. And all these people that I had met like within the last year or so at these different real estate seminar events, I called every one of them and invited them. I'm like, hey, I'm going to start a networking event for real estate investors in Coeur d'Alene.
Cool.
Because there's nothing in Coeur d'Alene right now. How would you like to go? People were like, yeah, great. Sign me up.
Very
Okay,
cool.
cool. So give me your email. And I put everybody in a database, and I was systematically sending them email updates and reminders like, hey, the event's coming up in 3 weeks, the next week. It's on Facebook now.
Right.
And then I'm sending texts, reminders. And I remember getting 44 people to show up at the very first event I put on.
That's pretty wild, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
And prior to that, I would be amazed if I can get in front of 2 people a week.
Yeah.
You know, that wanted to talk real estate.
Right. How many coffees, I mean, realistically, how many coffee dates can you go on a week? Maybe like 5 to 10 if you did 2 a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, nobody's doing that.
Yeah. I'm not doing 2 appointments a day. Typically, like 1 a day for me is pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're maxing out and you're able to leverage a bigger room with a wider audience. But I want to go back just a little bit, Nick, to Kevin Cross specifically.
Yeah.
So he was the one that actually got you interested in putting on an event. Is that correct?
So he didn't get me interested in putting on an event, but he got me interested in basically taking my business model and changing it.
Okay. As
a real estate agent, because everybody, as a real estate agent, you have a business. You have a business of acquiring clients and servicing the clients.
Sure.
You know, it's client acquisition and retention. And your product is selling them homes. Or selling their homes. And I had a business model of, I just work in my sphere of influence and buying leads and doing what I can to try to get clients. But I took what he had as his business model was they lead generate consistently real hard once a month, and then they follow up with those people.
Okay.
And it was a very unique way. They're putting on public events. So I decided to stop what I was doing and just put all my focus and energy into this event that I would host once a month, because it did take a lot of work. I had to focus on my calls had to be more invitation calls versus, hey, you want to work with me this year call?
Right.
Eventually it kind of led into that, or that was implied, but that didn't have to be my message anymore.
Yeah, that's
my
great.
message was a lot easier to communicate to people as just an invite. Hey, you want to come hang out at this event?
Yeah.
We're going to have free cookies and
Gonna be a lot
stuff.
of-
It was a lot easier to call people.
A lot of like-minded people in the same room with you. Easier
Yeah.
sell than actually, just like, hey, do you want to buy or sell your house? Like, no, come hang out with people who are interested in the same thing you are interested in.
Yeah.
But just going back a little bit more. So, like, speaking of networking in specific, Nick, so you heard this guy on a training call with Gary Keller. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then what did you do? You just reached out to him and said, do you want to be on my podcast?
Well, I did a few years later.
Okay, gotcha.
So I modeled his business for at least 4 years before I reached out to him, and I wanted to actually start doing a podcast too.
Sure.
But I wanted to reach out to him kind of like a thank you, and just pick his brain some more.
Sure. Yeah, and that's like this is all a form of networking that we're doing right now. Like when we get guests in here, especially the high level guests, like it's awesome networking for us. Like it puts us in the same room with these people who are doing this really high level business,
Or a digital room.
Specifically, right? And we get to learn from the best in the business doing it, and hopefully you do too, right? So that's part of the great thing about this. But specifically, like you heard Kevin Cross on a call, and then years later you wanted to reach out to him and get him on your podcast, which was it was done. It wasn't done over Zoom. It was like you guys just had a telephone call and we recorded it, basically.
Yeah, it was a different app. It was a different platform online. There was no video. The first couple of episodes I did, there was no video.
Yeah.
I think it was Kevin Cross and Daniel Grishko.
That's
that
right.
I did my first 2 episodes that were just through the internet.
Yep.
Just audio only. And then Sean Dolan was going to be on the podcast, and he said, "Yeah, if I can come in and do it." So we then decided to do a video and do it in person.
Yeah.
But I think it was David Clinton who was the third guest. And since Sean said that he wanted to come in, I just invited David too to come in, and I think he was the first video one.
That's very cool.
And then it was Sean after that.
A point I wanted to make really is like we should like get back in touch with Kevin Cross and see if he wants to do a follow up episode.
Yeah, and what's cool is like later I heard him on Bigger Pockets the Bigger Pockets podcast years later. So obviously he's off to bigger and better things.
Sure, but the point is like you reached out, and that's exactly what networking really is. It's reaching out
to your heroes,
reaching out to your heroes, and asking if you can provide value in some way. Because I truly believe like if you're going to be trying to setting up networking events, it shouldn't be the what's in it for me. It's like how can I give back to you at the same time.
Oh yeah, and that's the huge thing about this. Like when you're inviting people. That's what makes these calls so easy.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, for the last 4 years, every time I made a call, I felt awkward about it because, in a way, I was just taking their time and just asking for something. I felt like a beggar on the street, like, "Hey, you got any real estate business for me?" Because that's what it was. Now I'm able to have a completely different attitude and mindset and energy about it. Just call somebody and really know that I can help them. If you just come to this event, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's easy for me to do that because I have a passion for real estate investing.
Sure.
So that's the different side. That was creating a networking event. You guys out there listening, you don't have to start a networking event for it to be extremely effective. You just have to show up to one regularly.
Yeah.
The reason I started one, it was a couple of different reasons. There was just no event in Coeur d'Alene at the time. So that was a huge reason why I wanted to start one there, because I wanted to not have to drive to Spokane like an hour away every month.
Yeah, and if you can do it at your office too, and this is a side note conversation, but if you can do it at your office, which you do, like that just saves you so much time. After you get done with your work on the first Thursday of the month, you go out to dinner, and then you come back and you bring your speaker in, and everybody gets value out of that.
Yeah, and it's just a fun time.
Right. And like what Nick said too, like obviously like you don't have to start your own networking event in order to get the benefit out of networking. You just have to show up to these events.
Yes.
And honestly, like that is the most powerful thing you can do.
Yeah, to show up. But I knew, if I had just shown up to every single event for the last 10 years, nonstop, or 9 years, sorry, I'm sure I would get almost as much value.
Sure.
But I probably wouldn't have shown up to every event if I wasn't running one.
Sure. Yeah.
But if I have to run it and it's out there and I'm accountable to people out now, so I have to. That's one of the biggest advantages of starting a networking group is that you will show up to it if you started it. You can't just call out sick that day, or let other plans, because that's the hugest issue that people have. In any business, when they know that they should be time blocking and setting, a couple hours a day to generating some leads or trying to get some business going, trying to put fuel in the fire. it's the first thing that they let go if something comes up, and something always comes up in business.
Yeah.
You know, there's always going to be something that you can put in front of that time block in your mind to be like, this is actually more important right now. It's not, but your mind will play tricks with you unless you are being held accountable by the public to put on an event.
Right.
And then that is your one thing. And that's the hack.
Right.
About if you want to be more intentional about networking regularly, start your own, because you will have to show up to it.
And you, like you said, like, yes, you have to show up. If you didn't, like, your credibility would just go completely down.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you told people to be at a place and expecting a big, you know, massive turnout with all these people and a great guest speaker, and you just didn't show up or didn't do any of it, like, nobody would want to work with you.
Yeah. And and I'm totally aware of that. And that's why, that's partly why I did that, because, like, if you listen to Tony Robbins, he said people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure.
Yeah.
I don't do this networking event every single month for pleasure. It's to avoid the pain of potentially disappointing people by not being there, or not throwing it when people are expecting to be there. Like, there's a lot of people now these days that come to our events that kind of rely on that as their lead generation platform.
Yeah. Even during COVID, I remember, like, you guys weren't taking any people in the Keller Williams office, and we were still trying to do your monthly meetup. People were sitting outside the office. Like, people were just like,
clawing at the doors.
We need our real estate investing meetup.
Like
and we weren't like legally allowed to bring them in.
It was The Walking Dead.
It was The Walking Dead.
There were zombies just hitting the glass, going, now what time is now? And we had to be like, get on your phone and go to Facebook group. You will be there.
It's on Facebook Live.
We only had to do that for a month or two, a couple months.
But it was wild. I remember you had a big turn up, like 20 or 30 people showing up to lock doors outside your event because it's so ingrained in their habit to come to the first
and we're
Thursday
paying
every
attention
month.
To the emails or text messages that, hey, due
or
to
what's
COVID,
going on in the world, apparently.
Still love those people. Glad
No,
they
yeah,
showed up.
absolutely.
But it is just funny that things like this can be so sticky,
Right.
with people's agendas and with people's calendars.
And people are just so accustomed to showing up that first Thursday. Like I said, every single month at 6:30 at the Keller Williams Realty office in Coeur d'Alene. Like, people just automatically, it's their habit to show up.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And some people are there for different purposes. Some people are there to network. Some people are there to get business. Some people are there to learn things.
Yeah.
They just want to know what's going on in the market, or they just want to get away from their family for a couple hours. There's those people too.
I suppose it could be taken as that. I try to go, whenever I go to networking events, I try to go for like a round robin of all those, except for getting away from my family.
Yeah. Nobody really likes.
I really try to learn. I try to network. I try to provide value. And then, I try to sell my services while I'm there too, because I think that's part of what I do. Like, when you're introducing yourself to somebody, let them know what you do. Otherwise, there's no point in making the content.
Yeah, and the whole reason for people to be there, it shouldn't just be for the education that you get or the market updates or something like that. It's you typically, almost always as an entrepreneur, you need something, and then you have something to offer.
Yeah.
And what I love about our introductions is, like, everybody gets a chance to speak, whether we have 30 or 60 people. They get a chance to stand up, and it's nerve-wracking for half the people, as you can tell.
Yeah,
people don't like to speak in public, but I kind of make them do it because I think it's important. Tell us who you are, why you're here, what you want to get out of this, what you need, and what you have to offer.
Did you know that people are more scared of public speaking than they are dying?
I've heard that.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
And I totally agree. I mean, I was fucking frightened.
Sure.
Doing this my first few times.
Yeah.
Like, I did not want to stand up in front of people. And that's why, like, I love the idea of getting guest speakers and that kind of stuff, because I wouldn't have to do it. And also make people introduce themselves, so I wouldn't have to speak for the first half hour.
Yeah.
And I can just kind of say, oh, who are you? And who are you? Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
But
I take notes.
I love that specifically about your networking event. I know some of the others in the area do it as well, but like, you make people say like what I have, what I'm looking for, and what I need, right? And that allows people. So when anyone's listening to the introductions, like, say Nick said, I'm a real estate agent, and there's somebody in there's like, oh, I'm thinking of, I need a real estate agent, right? Like, that's going to ping them to talk to you after the networking event, which is great. And it's just a good way, because when you do these introductions, you end up getting, depending on how cool your introduction is or what services you're providing, 5 to 10 people just trying to meet up with you for coffee.
Yeah. And these are all, what's cool about it is like, these are all people, if you're a real estate investor, that you're going to probably need to do business with them or somebody like them eventually. Like you've got people in the room that lend hard money. You've got, obviously, you've got 20% of the room seems like they're real estate agents or lenders, regular lenders, which is great. You're eventually going to need those people.
You've got contractors that show up.
You've got contractors, a large, like the last couple of meetings, a lot of contractors coming lately.
You've got home stagers that show up. You've got insurance and title rep people and just...
seasoned investors that are willing to chat and share their story and, give advice as long as you buy them lunch.
Right.
You got those people there too, which is just awesome. You've got newer investors that have money, and that just want to partner with somebody. Like they have a full-time job, they've got a couple $100,000, they're out there, and they just they need somebody who's an operator partner,
right?
And vice versa. You've got somebody that's, hey, I've got time. I know what I got to do. Maybe they don't know, but maybe they're resourceful. I've got time. I want to do a deal. If I can partner with someone who's got money, let's do a deal. And then you got people in the room that have deals. You've got, we usually always have wholesalers that pop up into these event, groups. And those wholesalers are people that found deals that are typically not on the MLS. They have them under contract and they have them ready to sell. And not all the time, but sometimes they're a pretty good deal and you should buy them.
Yeah.
So you got those people. And just... it attracts, people in the industry, and you're gonna need to build this team out over time to do your job effectively.
Right. And when you say like building a team, like the thing that like I got caught up on for a little bit was when you said like building a team around you. Like in my head, I envisioned like hiring these people on my squad, but you can you don't need to hire them.
You don't need to hire people.
You just need to utilize their services that are available.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to like hire a title company to work for my company. I just go use the title company that's there.
Yeah. And that's
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do any of that title work.
Yeah. And for the agents listening out there too, if you can network heavily with enough people in the industry, you shouldn't have to hire people right away either, because title people will do stuff on your behalf almost like they're an employee of yours just to earn your business eventually.
Sure.
And same thing with lenders. If you're feeding lenders business, they will happily follow up with your database for you that way. You don't need a salesperson right away to help you follow up with your database. If you have a rock solid lender that you partner with, that's not going to take half of your commission.
Right.
They'll just, they'll follow up with these leads and try to sell them on loans and keep you posted. That's a fantastic way to partner with a lender if you're an agent.
Yeah.
To have somebody like helping you on the sales end. Without having to pay anything.
Yeah, that's great.
Those people need a lender anyway.
I never thought of that actually. That's pretty wild.
So the more people you network with and try to do business together, everybody can see how they can help each other out. Just the easier this and the more realistic it seems like to be able to buy and sell real estate.
Yeah. And the key thing you said there was help each other out, right? Don't be just looking to take services from people. Like look to offer something in return, even if it's time. Like if you're meeting with a higher level investor and say you are just beginning, maybe take them to lunch and then maybe offer to, hey, I would really like to see how this works. If you're doing a flip, maybe I can help you move some flooring or help you move some trash out in exchange for some first world experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, where can people find networking events?
Oh, you just go to www.internet.com.
Oh, okay.
The best way is obviously just talk to your sphere, honestly. Talk to people who are in this industry, and I would say, like, hey, are you going to any networking events that you find useful?
Yep.
Right? And they'll tell you they're going to go to Nick's event or other real estate investor meetups. Meetup.com specifically.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
If you are in like the North Idaho, Spokane area, Kelly Clark has an awesome website called REInetworking.com.
Yep.
Really simple website to get to. REInetworking.com for like real estate investor or real estate investment, whatever you want to call it. REInetworking.com. You go to that website, you click on the calendar, and all the meetups in the whole area are right there.
Yeah.
All the good ones, anyway.
All the good ones. All the good, juicy ones.
Fantastic resource. Thank you, Kelly, for putting that on and spending the money to just help people out. Yeah. She's a property manager in Spokane, by the way. If you guys need property management services, go to Kelly Clark. She's a great woman.
Yeah, Kelly Clark's great for sure. Like I said, Meetup is great, and depending on what you're looking for, because you can get a lot of different networking out of a lot of different resources. It does not have to be tailored specifically to real estate investing. Mm-hmm. Like you can utilize that's obviously where I would go if I was trying to start real estate investing, because you want to go where the people are doing the things you want to do. Yep. But if you wanted, like, I go on meetup.com sometimes, and I'm like, wonder if there's a improv group in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, like improv comedy, and there is.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you done that?
No, I have not done it, but I noticed it was there.
You're a funny guy.
You're a funny guy. Thank you.
You're funnier.
We should both do it and just go and scream and yell about syndication, because I think that'd be pretty funny too.
I would love to try stand up if I wasn't so bad at language.
Yeah.
Like, I stumble on my words way too often.
You can have Chat GPT write you.
I could. Or I can just go, like, to college. Maybe I'll get better.
People don't go to college
go
to
back
be
to
stand-up comedy.
Well, I'm not Billy Madison. I can't go back to first grade and do it all over again.
Says who? You can hire a teacher to teach you first grade at
Khan Academy.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
Okay,
I would
I'll do
go
that.
to. I would check with the resources first, obviously. Meetup.com for any networking tailored specifically for what you're looking for, and then just talk to the people in your area. And I'm gonna say, Nick, like, you go to these meetups. Say you've never done a meetup before. No, you've never been to a meetup. You've never been to a meeting where a lot of people are in a room talking about a thing. What should people be expecting?
What you should be expecting. Well, you know what? I don't think you should have any expectations. I think you should just be in curiosity.
I like that.
Don't necessarily. There are groups out there that are better than others. I can say that.
Sure.
There are groups out there, networking groups, that they want money from you to join. Myself, I like to go to groups that don't cost money. Because typically when you go to a group like that costs money to attend, they like to parade around that they're offering resources and stuff for sale. And these days, I mean, I like to meet up and work with people that they're not there to try to make money off you, but with you.
Sure.
And I think there's a big difference between those types of groups. There are people that they see people as dollar signs that I want to take money from their pocket. And I'm saying that, bluntly, but
sure.
They have that mindset. Like, you come in, you give me money. And there are other groups out there where you come in, there might be an opportunity where we can make money together.
Yeah, I agree with you and disagree with you at the same time, Nick.
And that's fine.
Yeah, and that's fine. And the reason is, like the free networking events, you do get a lot of tire kickers. And there's nothing wrong with that.
70%.
70%, right? But yeah. I think, and I've never done an actual like paid networking event. I've been to like BP Con and like, I don't know, I guess that's a paid networking event.
No, that's different. That's
okay.
Convention. So this is I understand paying to go to a seminar or paying to go to a convention. Absolutely.
Sure.
I'll
okay.
pay for that because it costs them money to put it on.
Right.
But there are small groups that like the I'm not going to say what it is,
sure, yeah.
but I want to so bad.
The point I'm
but
saying,
there are groups that they parade that they are top notch.
Sure,
but they're just they are there to make money on you, not necessarily with you.
Sure, and I understand that point completely. But the point I think I wanted to make was like, if people are paying, and I'm not saying this is the structure I agree with or disagree with, but if people are paying, they're more likely inclined to be intentional about what they're getting out of it.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone paid a price. Like, okay, these are obviously people who may take it serious.
Yeah.
Or they may just try to be selling you. And I don't know again. So I'm just.
And to go back on that, I'm not necessarily right about everything. This is just my preference.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not like disagreeing with you, but I think like some of those that charge have intention of being on a higher tier and like less time wasting at networking events.
Okay.
But,
fair enough.
But I could be wrong. I don't know. Because you will find like, and this is a good and bad thing about networking events. Like people will come up and talk to you and it's great. Some of those people just like really just want to waste your time and suck you from like getting to the good contacts in those meetups.
Yeah. And they're not like intentionally trying to kill your time. They're just, you do got to be careful at these events though, because like the majority of the people that come, unfortunately, it's almost always more than half. They probably are not the people you want to talk to,
right? And that's
but that's the world.
Right.
That's not. I mean, that's
cold calling 101 in general.
Yeah, that's every human you bump into. You don't want to bump into 80% of them. You
Right.
want to bump into the rock stars.
And I get that.
Those are the people you want to try to network with. The people that are doing stuff that you can feed on, that that you can offer value to. Like rock stars work with rock stars, and you want to find the rock stars to be able to be in that club.
Yeah.
Or most people are not rock stars, and you can still grow with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like, you have a finite amount of time after these events for the most part. Say after your event, right? Like I want to go like, oh, I'm going to go talk with XXX. And before I get there, like Y, Z, and Q come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
And which is great. Like I love it. But
Which is
like,
fine.
I'm trying to go network with people higher than me.
Yeah.
So I can grow and learn too.
Yeah, and I used to feel that way too when I started. Now I don't mind. I don't mind talking to the newbies at all.
I
or
don't
the
mind
people that
talking to
really
the
haven't
newbies.
done deals yet, because I honestly want to see them do well. Like I'm at a point where like I've got enough business coming in. I'm not desperate.
Sure.
So I would absolutely. I love talking to the people that haven't done anything yet, or that want to, or that want to strive for it. And I want to try to give them my best, blunt, honest advice.
Right.
To get their ass in gear.
Right. And what I usually try to tell people is like I give people my contact information. I'm like, hey, I'm at a networking event. I got to go speed network with a bunch of people. Let's set up a coffee, right? Please call me later.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to you more. But in this room, I'm trying to maximize my time.
Yeah, because sometimes at these events you don't get a whole lot of time to network.
Right.
Sometimes, like our events, half of it is taken with presentation.
Right. And then the last half hour to an hour.
Last half hour to hour ish.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, try to be out of here in a half hour.
Nobody
45
ever
minutes.
is.
And there's always like 10 or 20 stragglers
Yeah.
that let it stretch on, which I'm totally fine with.
Sure. Yeah.
But you just got to put a deadline somewhere. That way people can abuse that deadline.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. I found you just start turning off lights and shutting the doors, and then people will walk out.
You should just get one of those boat air horns until they leave.
Yeah.
But seriously, go network, because it's just so powerful, and it's the way to get more done with less time and less effort. And hopefully you can bring something to return to them as well. But how should people be approaching other people at these networking events? Like if you were going to talk to somebody you didn't know,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Hi, I'm Nick. You start with that. Mm-hmm. You'd be surprised how far that will get you.
Right. Okay. Easy peasy. That's why I'm asking, right?
Because sometimes people forget that, there's a lot of people that are bad at this, which is fine. You'll get better as you do this.
Yeah.
But it's great if you can walk up to somebody who's not already talking to somebody, and it's okay if you can get in line. Like it's totally fine at these events. If somebody's having a conversation, you can walk up and kind of triangle them.
You can.
And just kind of hang out and like listen to the conversation, and it's totally appropriate.
It really is.
It's totally appropriate.
I feel like that's
It's
what
not-
happens most times. Like I'll be
Which is
in
fine.
be in a one-to-one conversation, and then your triangle piece pops in.
Because it's all body language, and your body language is telling them, "Hi guys,
Yeah,
I'm
interested
I'm
in what
going
you're
to
saying.
introduce myself when you're done with your serious meat of the conversation,
Yeah.
because I would like to talk to one of you two."
Yeah,
And you're at an event where this is okay.
Right.
Don't feel awkward. If somebody's talking to somebody else, walk up and fill that triangle gap.
yeah,
And when they're done, exchanging info or whatever, then smile, introduce her. Hey, I'm Nick, guys. And I would recommend saying hi to both of them, not just one, because
Right,
it's
of course.
slightly rude if you're just like ignoring one person just to talk to the other. But just
I don't
say,
want to talk to you, asshole. I want to talk to that guy.
Those two are talking. It's a Bill and Linda. Hey, Bill, I'm Nick. Hi, Linda, I'm Nick. Linda, by the way, I liked, earlier when you said that you were a stager. I'm thinking I've got a flip coming up. I'm thinking of staging it. Can we talk a little bit more about
Yeah.
prices and that kind of stuff? And by the way, are you looking to do any investing yourself? You just start that kind of conversation. It's just, it's okay to be a little awkward, because these events are meant to break awkwardness.
Yeah, they are meant to break the ice for sure.
And it's okay to be that, to kind of stand there and wait your turn to talk. You don't need to just get frustrated. And I've seen people they just get frustrated because they want to talk to certain people, and there's a line or something
Right.
like that, and then they just walk out.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest don't just leave.
Right.
If you're there with an intention to meet a couple of people, and I think you should always have a goal going in, like, hey, I just want to make like 2 quality contacts. You don't have to overdo it. Like, I'm going to get 10 business cards.
Right.
Because then you're probably not going to make quality contacts.
Right.
But if you can make an effort to, I want to talk to 2 people and have a good, genuine conversation face to face with 2 people, exchange info and see how I can help them out and see how they can help me.
Yeah. I would even simplify it a little bit more than that, Nick. Like, if you're a weird, awkward weirdo, like a lot of these people here, I would try to make 1 contact.
Just one?
I would start with 1.
Well, I would do 2.
Well, congratulations for doing No, but like, like if you've never done this before and you're just like really weird how it works, just you can grow later, but focus on 1. Focus on the 1 person that you can get a contact with, make a meeting with. Then the next time you go, maybe do 2, and then maybe do 3 after that. But then you can grow from there. But to get your feet wet, and if you're really shy, just talk to 1 person.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come up to me meetups like, "Hey, you're the first person I've ever talked to at these meetups." I'm like, "That's awesome, man. We should go get a coffee."
Yeah. And then little secret, if you do want to talk to more people, but you just don't have the time, you're like, I just want that 1 or 2 conversation, but I really want to get more out of this. If there's a sign-in sheet going around and people are like, writing their names and emails and phone numbers on it, so take a picture of it.
Yep.
Just take a picture of it, follow up with some of those people the next day, try to remember who was saying what, who was introducing themselves as what, if there was an introduction kind of period.
I would do that too. So yeah, definitely take a picture of that.
See if it's okay. I would see, out of respect, see if it's okay with whoever's putting on the event. If you can make it, get a copy of the list and say, I just want to talk to a couple of people. I mean, if it's a networking event, they should, like I've run them. Yeah, it's fine.
Right.
Like, that's why you're here.
That's the
this
whole
is
point
an
of
effective way. Most people that take pictures of that and stuff, they're probably not going to call those people anyway.
Right.
But it's a good idea.
And that's what I was going to say too. Like, if you take a picture with intent to call these people, like I would do it within the next 1 to 2 business days. And
Fresh in their mind.
Yeah, fresh in their mind, and be like, hey, Nick, send them a text. Even you don't have to be too formal and stuff. Hey, Nick, I saw you at the investor meetup last night. I didn't get a chance to talk to you, unfortunately. Do you have time for a phone call, or can we meet up for a coffee? I'd love to pick your brain.
I would love that.
Yes, you would.
Now, how do you schedule an appointment? Do you do the either or tactic?
Yeah, sometimes. What's the either or tactic? That's you give them 2 choices, right? We're like, I'm free at like 1 or 3, and then
Yeah, you got to make it easier. Like when you're setting appointments, you got to make it easy for people to quickly. Because if you just say, when would you like to meet up? Then they're gonna be like, shoot, I'm in the middle of something. I don't even keep a schedule.
Kevin Cross.
Okay,
yeah.
Yep. I listened to his call with Gary Keller that lasted about 20-30 minutes. And I listened to that thing again and again and again. I would listen to it like almost every day.
Sure.
And I started to become obsessed with the idea of actually starting a real estate meetup.
Okay.
And it was a huge idea for me to think, like, who am I to try to get people in a room and facilitate a networking event? But I knew the few events that I've been to here and there, I gained a lot of great contacts.
Yeah.
And I've met people that are kind of like me. But if I can do something like that regularly. Hey, quick commercial break here. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really do appreciate it. If you want to give back, let me help you buy a house, or I can help you sell a house. It's the only way I make money when I'm not investing in real estate. I don't make money on this podcast or the events I do, but I do make money only when I help people buy and sell houses. So if you're looking for your next investment and you're here in North Idaho, I want to help you personally. If you are not in North Idaho, I can still help you out. I have a vast network of referral partners all across the country in Keller Williams Realty, and I can find the right real estate investor savvy agent for you so you don't have to. It doesn't cost you a thing. Thank you for your support. Back to the show.
Or for a lot of my hard money and real estate investor, or hard money and photography business. All right, these are my 2 appointments. Pick one.
Sorry, I was looking. I heard the camera beep. I wonder if we went off, but we're good.
Looks like we're good.
It did a little beep beep.
Yeah, we beeped.
Okay, sorry. Say it one more time. I got distracted.
So yeah, the either or technique, like you're gonna funnel them into 1 or 2 meetings. That way they have to make a choice. And if they can't make a choice from either one of those, like create a third option. But you want to try to set those meetings that day.
Yeah. Would you like to go to coffee this week or next week?
Right.
Ooh, I'm a little busy this week. Let's do it next week.
Great.
Or, ooh, yeah, I want to meet up with people right away. Let's do it this week.
Right.
You're going to get probably one of those responses. Awesome. So, next week, what's a good day for you? Like Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah.
Wednesdays are usually better.
Great.
Great.
And keep funneling them down.
Would you like to meet up in the morning or afternoon? Well, I'm going to be at work. How's late afternoon? That works.
Perfect. Yeah.
Right. See it. It's 3:30. Yeah. Do you like this coffee shop or this coffee shop? That coffee shop's great.
Perfect.
Perfect. I'll see you there at 3:30 next Wednesday.
What I do too.
And then you send them a calendar invite.
Calendar invite. Exactly. Right. So like, especially if you're on Google, you know you're on Google. You have Gmail.
Not
Anyone who has-
everybody, but most people out there.
If you have AOL, I feel sorry for your email address and your sex life. But Gmail makes it really nice. So you just send a Gmail invite, and then you invite them with their email address, and they can accept it. And if they accept it, it goes on their calendar for their accountability. And if they don't show up, then they're dicks.
You know what? I disagree about the AOL. I bet you people with an AOL, they know how to fuck.
Those are the Yahoo people. You're mistaken.
those are Yahoo people.
Yahoo
Okay.
and MSN know how to fuck. AOL is like limp dick.
Yeah, they're dead. Huh?
Yeah, they're
They
mostly
died
dead.
already.
They didn't survive Y2K.
It's the YMail people that you gotta watch. Those are the freaks.
Yeah.
YMail.
But yeah, so yeah, networking, just make sure you're setting appointments and being intentional and trying to provide value at the same time. It's but don't overcomplicate it, if that makes sense. Just try to show up and try to be a chill, cool person to talk to and try to provide value where you can. Because there's always somebody newer than you. Like, regardless of how new you think you are, there's somebody who's like 10 steps below you.
Right.
Right? And there's people who are 10 steps ahead of you. And it just, you have to try to, I try to dip a little bit below me and a little ahead of me. So I kind of scoot my way up.
Okay. Like you have little slaves.
Not quite.
Okay. Explain more.
So when I'm networking, like I said, like I'm not trying to find like,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm thinking of slaves digging a pit for you.
no,
Just below you. Just no. That's
No.
not what you meant by that.
no, I meant like people in my network who are doing the same things I'm doing.
Oh, okay. I thought you were a racist for a second.
Glad we clarified this on the episode. I am not racist.
That's good. Okay. Continue.
Great.
Threw you off.
I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going with this now. But when I go to these networking events, like I said, I want to find people who are doing the same thing I'm doing at a higher level and at a lower level. They are not slaves. I do not agree with slavery. Do you understand me, Nick?
I do.
Okay, great. So basically, I can learn from the people above me, and I can teach the people below me, and I think that's just so fantastic. My favorite thing, like, I love being a teacher, and I love teaching the things I've learned in this business. Not a slave. You were completely.
Uh-huh.
Did you tune out?
No.
Okay.
No, I believe you. You're not a slave owner. That would be hard to do these days anyway.
Yeah, it probably would. I wouldn't know because I'm not.
I'm trying to keep this podcast entertaining. That's all.
You're doing a great job. You've thrown me for such a loop. I'm like,
I'm zooming out. If I'm throwing around my pin, then you know I'm zooming out.
okay,
Zoning out.
zooming out.
Let's continue this rabbit hole.
Let's continue. I think I said what I wanted to say on that. I try to learn and teach at the same time.
So ChatGPT recommends that we talk about success stories in networking. What do you think?
I don't want to do that.
No?
Yeah, let's talk about success stories, Nick. What do you? Let's talk about some success stories with networking events.
So almost every big success I have, I can pretty much attribute to either a networking event or a seminar I've been to. I remember the one of the seminars I went to in 2013. I met Yvette Wiley.
Oh wow, okay.
And recommended she had just gotten laid off by the waste department as a dispatcher, and I recommended that she get her license and sell real estate like me, and she actually did it, and she's like a top producer now, and she's in my downline, and she's great.
We should
And she's
get her on
actually
the
doing this
podcast.
networking. Yeah, we should. She's been doing this networking event as well.
Yeah.
She started one about a year after I started mine, and she still does it. The last Thursday of each month at 6:30. or 6 o'clock, I can't remember which.
Yeah.
At the Elks Lodge in Spokane.
Yeah. It's a pretty good networking event, too.
Met her doing that. My business partner, Joe Turner, she showed up to my networking event.
I didn't know that.
Tyler Wagner, Amanda Morris. A lot of these people met from the REI event.
Okay.
Caitlin.
Wow.
We're getting the venue up in Laughing Dog.
That's right.
Her.
She was working there, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
And then Emma, she was working at Laughing Dog while we were having our meetings, and she got interested in real estate.
That's awesome.
A lot of these people that have become partners and team members, and even if they're not partners and stuff now,
Sure.
Had a lot of great success just by these events, just putting them on and making that my focus. And I gotta tell you, it's just so much easier than making calls.
Yeah.
20 calls a day is not something I do anymore. Now I can make follow-up calls and more reactionary calls, which isn't the best habit.
Sure.
But gotta tell you, it's worked wonders for my business, and it's the one thing I'm able to do consistently.
Yeah.
Because I'm not perfect, and I can't do anything else consistently like I should be.
You can do VR workouts consistently.
Well, my body's amazing. And
My body's amazing.
I gotta tell you, that's because I'm consistent with my body. But with my business, I'm only consistent pretty much with this networking event. Everything else, I kind of I screw up constantly.
Sure.
I'm not as consistent as I want to be with all the other parts of the business, but that lead generation part is the most consistent, and that's why we've had so much success.
That's awesome.
And it's all thanks to the ease of networking over time consistently.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you from my own personal stories, like I've done a lot of deals just with people at networking events.
Yep.
We've done hard money deals just from me talking in a room. I've even met photo contacts, just people who want photography at these things, which is great. I would even say when my wife and I started dating, we came to these events all the time, and it really solidified our relationship as well.
Yeah,
right.
Spend some quality time together.
Yeah, spend some quality time together. It's almost like
sitting there watching Netflix.
It was almost like a date. Like we go out to dinner beforehand, then we go to a real estate investor meetup, and then when we're done, we unpack that. Like what did you learn? What did you learn? What are we going to implement? What are you going to implement?
Is that all you did? Was unpack the event?
We unpacked the event.
Then what did you pack?
No slaves, that's for sure.
I'm talking sex here.
Oh, we don't do that.
Jeremy immediately goes to the racist side. He's like, I didn't have any slaves that night. We know you're a closet racist.
That's not a true statement, everyone. I am not a closet racist.
You only bite spouses if they're black.
That's untrue. I'll bite any spouse. Listen to our previous episode. I don't discriminate on the color of your spouse or the ethnicity. I don't know how to dig out of this ditch, Nick. You're being a real weirdo.
You're really blushing about this.
We're talking about racism on an investing podcast, and when someone calls you a racist, what do you say?
I'm like, oh, I don't think so. That's what I said.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Pretty sure I'm not.
Yeah, last I checked, I wasn't. So
I dated a black girl. She broke up with me pretty quickly, but I did. Dated a Puerto Rican too. That's not racist. Dated the hell out of her until she broke up with me.
Yeah, I guess you did. Congratulations.
Thank you. Haven't had much luck with the ethics sense, I guess. We're gonna end this podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have went off the rails. Thank you so much for listening to the Investor Shed podcast. If you're listening, please know that I'm not a racist.
He's not. I guarantee it.
That's all we needed. The Nick's guarantee was stamp of approval on this thing.
I think it's the first time I've ever gotten you completely speechless.
You really threw me for a couple loops for sure. I'm like, man, I don't know how to
messing around.
I know, but I'm trying to divert it back into business content, and I'm like, how am I gonna I don't want to ignore it. That's what I don't want to do.
Okay.
Because if someone calls you a racist and you ignore the statement,
right.
that's
But can't you just...
We're not in politics either. Like,
Let's talk about politics real quick before we end this thing.
oh, let's do that. Yeah.
What do you think about the election coming up? There's a presidential one.
What?
Yes, there's new presidents coming.
What?
Both of them.
What?
Because you have a one that's regular and then the vice.
This is news to me.
Uh-huh.
I'm steering clear of a lot of politics.
Me too.
Yeah. To be honest, like, I think I've talked about it on the show before, like I have my healthy little sphere of things that actually, like, fucking matter in my life.
Yeah.
Whoever's in charge and whoever the president is, like, whatever choices they make or whatever the people who make choices behind their back make, I will adapt to.
Right. And with real estate, you can always adapt.
You can always adapt, right? If someone throws you a curveball or somebody's doing something you don't like, you can ignore it.
I can't believe I wore my jacket this whole podcast.
Man, you must be sweaty.
So weird. Armpits are not.
So
dry.
I want to challenge somebody on this episode. I want to challenge you. You've never been to a networking event, or you just struggle going to networking events. Go to one, and make one good contact, and then follow up with them. And then the next time that networking event happens, go make 2 contacts. And it's not scary. Everyone there understands that you are there to meet people.
Yes. And tell us about it on our YouTube comment section.
Yeah. Go find our AOL emails and send us an AOL email with your comments. But if you liked the episode and found it useful, please go to our Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave us a sexy little comment on YouTube. And
I reply to the comments every once in a while.
Yeah, we do like that. So thank you so much for everyone listening. Network
Dave,
away.
Ryan, and Kelly.
Dave, Ryan, and Kelly. We love you all. We appreciate it. And until next time, invest with sense.
Yes. And before you go, if you need a contractor in the North Idaho or Spokane area, I got this sponsored hat here, Black Stag Contracting. Or if you need a well-tested for productivity, we got Super Flojo here. It's on my shirt. It's a great shirt.
My shirt was made by Real Essentials, and you can find them on Amazon.com. This is not a paid advertisement, but this shirt is comfy as heck.
Yeah. And if you'd like a slightly less racist hard money loan coming your way, check out Jeremy Kitchen for a hard money loan. If you want a definitely not racist real estate agent to help you out here in North Idaho,
Wow.
help you out.
Wow.
Have a good day, guys.
What? Bye.
We'll see you later.
Thank you so much for checking out the Investor Shed podcast. If you enjoyed your time, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow along on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at The Investor Shed for shorts and promos about each episode. Do you want to be a guest or know someone who has great real estate investing advice and stories? Reach out to us at theinvestorshed@gmail.com.